Well, today is looking to be a really nice day. Gonna get some sun, shade, sun today, which is nice. I think today is finally the day that we can put these posts up. We gave up last night. It got too dark on us too fast, and we didn't want to make these precise cuts with our headlamps. Are we being too precise? Yeah, we are, but it's fun, and we enjoy challenging ourselves to increase our skill set. So Alyssa's hammering on video, so hopefully she can get one out for you guys today. She's been running a little low on energy, so I don't blame her. I can't believe the amount of content and videos and things she's produced, I guess we've produced over the last few months. So this morning I'm going to work on getting these posts all cut to length. One thing we need to work on after that's done, before we can take these tripods out, is we've got to get all the upper sill plates drilled and fastened. So if you remember, we only drilled and fastened the ends of those plates. And then I think we need to get the vertical sill plates installed too. Those are going to go over here on the ends of the garage door. I think this is going to be a really satisfying day, because at that point I think we're really close to being able to start on the floor framing above. And that was my point, is once all that stuff is done, then we can start chalk lining and setting our rim board above, which will allow us to put an I-joist across here and toenail into that beam. That way that beam can't go anywhere. That's a full day, but we're getting a nice early start again. We've been basically working from sun up to sundown. We're using every ounce of daylight we have, on top of daily chores, household chores, talking to the engineer, securing products. Oh, I think tomorrow our warm board is actually supposed to arrive. Apparently it's at a depot nearby, and we're waiting for delivery. So hopefully we can get the floor built and get the warm board installed pretty quick here. Don't tell anybody, but Alyssa and I are hoping that we can get a day off, one day off, before we start the milling marathon. Oh, and that reminds me, this morning I spent probably a good hour studying the cut sheets from Shelter. They've given us a piece by piece plan of our timber frame. Ethan, if you're watching this, or whoever made those plans, you guys are amazing. Wow, the level of detail is just mind-boggling. So what I did that for was to understand the size and length of pieces that we're going to be milling, because I need to actually talk to our log guy today, our logger, Alan, and make sure that we've got all the logs available that we're going to need for that frame. This is kind of one of those ebb and flow deals with the mill. Also, I forgot to mention, I ordered yesterday a log grapple, because it became brutally obvious in moving just those 2 logs that we made these posts out of. We're going to need a better way to move logs. We're going to be moving something like, 60? I think 60 logs, somewhere in there. Hopefully that'll be here within maybe a week or so. That'll be a super fun unboxing. Okay, enough about all the crazy stuff that's happening. Time to get to work. Last night I was trying to make Alyssa and I's workspace work, and I did a no-no. When you cut these cuts, you're supposed to cut one side down like this and follow your line. And then you switch sides on the beam and you start over here and cut this side down following your line. But if you try to cut too aggressively from one side, like you're trying to cut all the way across, inevitably you're going to dive on that side and start doing this. So I miscut ever so slightly on the top of this post. It's going to work out fine because this is the top, and so because we have steel brackets, I'm going to put the bracket on this side to conceal this, and so all you'll see is these 2 edges here. I think there's a lot of creativity that goes into making little mistakes like this. Not really that obvious, and it's not that big of a deal. So I've marked this as the top, and then I've put the orientation north and south on here so that this goes in the correct way. The next challenge is cutting the slot in this post for this base. It's what's called a concealed base. So this base hides the hardware here, and it'll sit on the slab, something like this. And then there's 3 pins that we're going to have to drill holes for that go into the post, something like that. Something we learned at the timber framing workshop was to use a northeast southwest orientation on posts to help you keep it straight in your mind. So this base is going to run east to west, the same orientation as our brackets, so that we can slide the post into the base and the bracket. So this being north, I've marked on the other side of the post, tells me that my bracket goes in this orientation here. The kerf's not even wide enough anyway, so I'm gonna have to do something different there. That's wide enough. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I've got some sentiment with this circular saw, so I use it for a lot of things, but I have to say one thing, that it is on the deck. That flippin' blade is never accurate. Like, I can square that thing all I want, and the deck on it has enough shimmy that happens. It's very annoying. So I don't know if I should just, I'm gonna finish this with the hand saw, but it's just frustrating because I feel like I wish my skill saw, we have other ones, but I have sentiment with that because it's my dad's. So I feel like I need to give up on it because this type of stuff is just really annoying where I'm off center by a blade's width. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I should have come in halfway on this side and then come in halfway on that side, and I don't know, hard to say. Well, I've tried a few different things, including ripping this way, ripping this way, ripping this way with my skill saw. But fact of the matter is, to get a kerf wide enough for this base, 5 inches deep, I'm gonna need the right tool, which is our beam saw. So it looks like I'm gonna be making a town run and make that cut properly instead of just making it into, well, I guess making it into a worse of a hack job. Well, I got everything to fit in the bottom of the post there. I have to say that there's probably a better way than that. Maybe mounting a guide for the saw. I don't know. I'm only going to have to do it twice. But now I just ran into a new problem. So we're supposed to use these 6-inch Titans, which according to the package is a 1/2-inch fastener. And they won't fit through the washers or through the post base. So I've got to go see if I have a reamer or something that I can use to enlarge those holes slightly. I think this is a 1/2-inch fastener, but the threads on it are slightly larger, obviously.
We're back from yet another town run, and Alyssa is here to help. We have one last cut to make on our post, so I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that.
Do you know that you need to have a whole bunch of metalworking tools to put posts in a garage? That'll work. So let's go ahead and put that on, but let's not crank it all the way down. So let's try to get that positioned where it needs to go, which is something like that. Okay. Let's not crank it down super tight. Let's just check. Let's just do like a test fit.
Okay.
And then this goes on here like this. Bye, hardware. Okay.
Yep.
Yep, we're fine.
Okay.
So I'm gonna set my end down.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Going up.
Hold on. Okay.
Slippery son of a gun.
Yep.
It's okay if it's a little off the base. It's okay. I think it's just a hair too tall.
Like what, like a 16th?
Oh, maybe not even that. Okay, and where's the holes, the screw holes? So they must be on the bottom.
Down here.
Okay, so
This is north.
so the bottom is north. So let's go this way and then rotate once. You know what we didn't do? I didn't oil the ends.
Okay.
I brought the anchor seal out here, but they're not oiled.
We talked to Ethan and he suggested not oiling the beams because we're gonna oil everything with a product they're bringing with them. Forget what it's called. Heritage, but he did say go ahead and put anchor seal on these.
Yeah.
That's to not dry them out too quickly, right?
Yeah, it's just to slow the end drying. That's where the majority of the drying takes place. It's going to cool off, and then hopefully we'll get the platform built, so these posts should be somewhat protected from the sun. The end post will be the most vulnerable. So I'm just going to come to me. If you just want to lift a little bit.
Lifting's easier.
Okay. Okay, got it. So maybe just a little bit of wiggle. Man.
You're playing the wrong side.
Got it. Okay, got it. Okay, and up. Okay, got it.
Well, part of it is it's a little turned in here.
It's a little turned in the upper bracket.
Yeah, like come look on my side.
Okay. That one won't go.
We're having a heck of a time getting this post in.
That's understatement.
What happened was our little brackets weren't lined up with the top of the beam, no matter how many hours Jesse spent plumbing it and stuff. So we had to take the post down. We had to loosen the bracket. We had to turn the angle a little bit, put the post back in. And now the post is not sitting down on the base. So yeah, I think we'll check in when we got this figured out, because filming while you're frustrated is not very fun. Any progress? Nope. It definitely is a ways off.
What was that guy's signature? Pound it to
Pound
fit.
it to fit, paint it to match.
So in an effort to make our posts look somewhat pretty, we purchased a Simpson product. So these look like nuts, but these Simpson fasteners go through them, which are a structural fastener, and then conceal within the head of the nut, producing kind of a bolt look, but with a screw fastener. So we'll end up with a look something like that. Now all we have to do is persuade this post to come over within that post pocket. I can't tell if the beam is level. That might be something worth checking, because it could be that the beam is tilted and it's causing this post to bind.
This is happy. What should it be?
Should be 20 feet exactly.
Can I measure to the middle on top?
Well, let's go see how bad the damage is. So we spared you guys over 4 hours of headlamp work last night, and we basically just passed out. It was potentially one of the hardest days we've had on this whole entire build. Let me start with the positive. That post is perfect. The bad news is somehow our beam had moved approximately ½ an inch. How? I have no idea. Despite all of the borderline insane measuring that I did, somehow the beam moved. And I don't know if it had to do with temperature or what, but of course we only have these temporary tripods supporting it. We do have a very small cleat that is bridging this sill plate that is anchoring the beam there. My recollection of the way it went down was I spent all that time measuring, and then when I went to plumb down all of the post bases, I was 100% sure this beam was right where it belonged. And would you believe it? The base was off by 3/4 of an inch and around 1/4 of an inch. So we went through all the effort yesterday. We finally got the kerf cut on the bottom of the post, which was not fun. Finally got the holes drilled for the base. We finally got the top of the post planed so that it would fit in the bracket. We put it all together, and the bottom of the beam, or whichever way you want to look at it, the top of the beam is level and the bottom of the beam is canted over 1/4 of an inch. So the eye in the I-beam is not level. It's more like this. So the post didn't fit. So we spent forever taking that post in and out, getting that all sorted and getting it fitted correctly. Only for that post to want to sit an inch to this side in the bracket. It did not want to sit underneath the beam. On top of that, the little pins that go in the base didn't want to go in these holes. They were off ever so slightly. So then we spent forever modifying them to try to get them to fit in the hole. And we did. We got them to fit. And what happened was that post drug the beam even farther to the east because the base was off. So we ended up drilling out the back side of this post so that we could drive the pins out. We removed all of that hardware, and then we spent over 2 hours fighting this beam to get it back in position. What we ended up doing was putting a rim board across and cleating it to the sill plate here and cleating it to the top of the beam there so that it simply cannot move this way. So we got that done, did a ton of plumbing down, a ton of measuring, a ton of calculations, and that led us to conclude that this post base, which I had cut earlier, was also incorrectly located. This is now located based on math, and it is actually correct based on where the beam is located. This is what we did for over 4 hours last night by headlamp. We ended up using what's called a reaming tool. I don't even know if I have it around. We used a reamer because basically if the base is here and you need to move the base over here, which is what we did, you have two options. You can re-drill the concrete, which with Radiant in the slab, our thinking was don't push your luck. You've already, drilled these holes. They're there. So we reamed the base with these slots going this direction so that we could simply slide the bracket over and attach it to the holes. And that took us probably almost an hour because that metal is extremely strong. But we got it done. We challenged ourselves to get it done before we went to bed, and we did it. We got this base oriented correctly. We got the beam oriented correctly. The base is correct. The post is correct. And we put it all together. Everything fit perfect. We do a pretty good job of telling on ourselves with this project. We try to share the whole story, not just the sweet spots. And yesterday was dangerous because we had to reposition the beam again, which if you remember the original beam positioning video, just no part of putting a beam in there that is fun because it has personality. It never wants to go exactly where you want it to go. So it put a lot of tension on Alyssa and I's relationship, but we worked through it because it's just a communication thing. It's understanding how to work in perilous and sensitive work environments. And I think even if a person can build a house, I think learning to build a house with your spouse would just up the ante a little bit more. And I'm really proud of Alyssa. She stuck it out. It's a very difficult work environment, and I will be the first to admit that I'm not the easiest person to work with. I don't think of myself as a grump, but I'll just leave it at that, I guess. So that's where we are today. Fast forward to today. We are finishers, and we wanted to go to bed with the post in correctly. That's all we achieved yesterday in 17 hours. Seems like these posts are becoming larger than life. So today, I think we're actually going to start a whole new video because today, hopefully, will be a massively productive day. And I think Alyssa and I are in good spirits. Last night was tough. We didn't eat lunch or dinner yesterday, but I think this really speaks to Alyssa and I's character, what it takes. You run into hard spots. I mean, this is on the heels of running into the wood miser issue, which cost us, a day and a half of productivity trying to figure out what in the world was going on. So this is tough, but we're still trucking along. So we're going to start a new video, and hopefully today will go a lot better.